The Fake Rockefeller Who Fooled America. True crime documentary. He had money, he had influence, he had a name that could open doors anywhere in America. Rockefeller, a name associated with power, wealth, and legacy. But there was just one problem. He wasn't a Rockefeller. In fact, he wasn't even who he claimed to be. This is the story of a man who built his entire life on lies, who fooled the rich, the educated, and the powerful, and who would eventually be linked to a murder that remained hidden for years. His real name was Christian Gehartsreiter. He was born in Germany, into a modest, ordinary family. There was nothing about his upbringing that suggested wealth, influence, or privilege, but even as a young man, something stood out. He had a tendency to exaggerate, to tell stories that weren't quite true, to present himself as someone more important than he really was. It didn't seem dangerous at first, just ambition, just imagination, but over time, those small lies began to grow, because for him, lying wasn't just a tool, it was an identity. When he moved to the United States, everything changed. New country, new opportunities, new identities, and that's exactly what he created. He began using different names, different backgrounds, different life stories. In one place, he was a student, in another, a film producer, elsewhere, a man with elite connections. And people believed him. Why? Because he was convincing, he spoke with confidence, he dressed well, he knew how to blend into high society. Each new city gave him a chance to start over. Each new lie brought him closer to something bigger, something more powerful. Then came his greatest transformation. He became Clark Rockefeller, a name that instantly commanded respect. The Rockefeller family was one of the wealthiest and most influential families in American history, and by claiming that name, he unlocked a world most people could never access. He moved among the elite, attended exclusive events, spoke like a man born into privilege. And eventually, he married a successful, well-educated woman. To everyone around him, he was exactly who he claimed to be, a quiet, somewhat mysterious billionaire heir. But there was one rule he always followed. He never let anyone get too close. No deep questions, no detailed past, no verification, because the truth would destroy everything. For years, his life seemed perfect, but lies, no matter how carefully constructed, eventually began to crack. His marriage started to fall apart. His wife began to notice inconsistencies, small details that didn't add up. Where was his family? Where was his wealth really coming from? Why was everything so secretive? The questions became impossible to ignore, and eventually, they divorced. That's when the investigation into his identity began, and for the first time, his carefully built world was at risk of collapse. After the divorce, he was granted limited visitation rights with his daughter, but what happened next shocked everyone. During one of those visits, he kidnapped her. In broad daylight, he fled the scene, disappearing once again, using the very skills that had allowed him to survive for years. Multiple identities, careful planning, total deception. A nationwide search began, and suddenly, the man once known as Clark Rockefeller was no longer seen as a quiet aristocrat, but as a dangerous fugitive. As investigators dug deeper into his past, they discovered something far more disturbing. Years earlier, a man had disappeared, a man who had trusted him, a man who had been connected to one of his previous identities. That man was never seen again, but evidence began to surface, and piece by piece, a terrifying possibility emerged. This wasn't just a con artist, this was a man capable of something much darker. Eventually, authorities concluded that the missing man had been murdered, and that the person responsible was the same man who called himself Clark Rockefeller. After days on the run, he was finally captured. His daughter was found safe, but his secrets were no longer hidden. His real name was exposed, Christian Gehartsreiter, a man with no real fortune, no real legacy, no real connection to the Rockefeller family, only lies. At trial, the full extent of his deception came to light. The fake identities, the manipulation, the years of pretending, and ultimately, the murder. He was convicted and sentenced to decades in prison. He fooled the wealthy, he fooled the educated, he fooled almost everyone he met. For years, he lived a life most people could only dream of, but it was all built on a lie, and in the end, no matter how powerful the name, no matter how perfect the disguise, the truth always finds its way out.